Please don't harass Giovanni or anyone who believes in or expands upon this theory. I don't like kriselle amalgamate night theory. I'll go so far as to say I hate it. If you somehow haven't heard of his theory, watch Giovanni's video that originated it. If you're too lazy to do that, here's a quick summary of it. Chapter 5 Side B reveals that Chris and Noah are the Night amalgamated into one after they fell out of the world in the lake, and Side B of Deltarune is not an alternate ending, but rather tells us how the Night was formed. In Chapter 7 Side B, they reset back to Chapter 1 using Chris and Noah's determination, which is how the Night and its two components can exist simultaneously. At the climax of the regular story, Susie uses her own determination to reset the timeline, forming a time loop, choosing eternity like she said to Kirsten. To stop this and get the true good ending, we need to get the twisted sword by using the pure crystal and the thorn ring to kill the Night and prevent another loop. The evidence for the theory goes as follows. The Night has similarities to Chris and Noelle, Chris's poses and Noelle's sounds. Chris and the Night attack Flora with the identical slash animation. Chris and Noelle can both use the Black Shard. The Knight's Dark Worlds are identical to Chris's Dark Worlds, unlike Susie's. Susie mentions the Knight's like closer to the mayor and the police, of which Noelle is both a family friend of the Dreamers and Carol's daughter. The prophecy could hint at the Knight being the cage, Chris and the girl, Noelle, as one. The Knight appearing first in the prophecy, Chris telling Ten and the sword like Knight does. The flavor text during the Knight's battle in Chapter 3 being interpreted as what happened in Chapter 5 Side B. The Knight having an unused fire track, almost like they're a dreamer. The sword room having a room with a reflection of Chris like a shadow monster can also appear as a deer, and Rays of Rat potentially foreshadowing the Knight's formation. Where credit is due, the Black Shard being used by Chris and Noelle, Dark Worlds, and the sword room are fairly good evidence. But you can't base a freight ship off of only 3 pieces of sheet metal, and with the wide-sweeping ramification of the Right's identity. Every theory about it is required to be a cargo ship. After thinking through it for a while, this theory's whole has a lot of holes in it. And I'm not talking small punctures that have a little water leaking in, I'm talking full hull ruptures and the ship fucking sinking. Firstly, human brains are pattern identify, and they attempt to identify patterns. That does not mean there is a pattern. The Night appears first in the prophecy because they were the first event in the prophecy chronologically. The Fun Games adventure happens long after the Night is formed. I also think the prophecy is more of a matter of interpretation, and I truly do not think that is how it's meant to be interpreted. Chris and the Knight are also in league. It makes sense why Chris would harm Ten like the Knight does and deals extra damage to him. This was absolutely a part of their collective plan. The Dark Reflection could just as easily be a number of other things from the Weird Root, not directly saying they are the Knight. Chris can't use magic, and even if they could, they wouldn't have Asgore or Troya's fire magic, because the Dreamers adopted them. Also, don't use unused content as evidence for a theory. Generally, using things created or cut out as evidence for something is not a very good idea. And this next part, this really bugs me. Why the hell is a song from a horror movie foreshadowing the origin of the Roaring Knight? No, really, think about this. The Lord of the Hammer is based on the prophecy, and Dragon Ball is based loosely on the Lord of the Hammer. Those make sense to foreshadow events pertaining to the prophecy and the surrounding events. Why is a song for a horror movie foreshadowing this when it has no ties to the prophecy whatsoever? Also, how does Chris know the Knight is them and Noelle? What goal is aiding them further? And really, what is the Knight's goal in the scenario? At all? And if Noelle's a part of the amalgamate, why is she trying to harm Susie, even when she's at the festival too before she found herself? It's clear she cared for her, but Knight doesn't show any sort of hesitation towards harming Susie, which obviously Noelle would, even to Chris and harm, which is... Why is Chris trying to harm their friends? Even if their acts are mostly our doing, they're still their friends. Why have they shown no mercy or hesitation when fighting them? And then there's this. The shackle from Chapter 1 of Clip on Noelle makes her say, "I'm the ghost of holidays past," is used as evidence. Do you live under a rock? Do you not know what a Christmas carol is? This is a silly reference, not a goddamn foreshadow now being the Night. What the shit? What is wrong with you? This entire series, like Dual Process Theory's full FNAF timeline, except instead of having well-interpreted evidence, narrative weight, and impact that satisfies the story of the fitting conclusion for the missing children, Henry and the Act family, interprets everything in the narrative so immensely literally, but there's no room for anything else! Not to mention the reveal of the amalgamate as Chris and Noelle would have absolutely zero impact. That's the thing about most Night theories. They have minimal to no narrative weight or build-up, and the entire thing only works when something about toward. I think it's cool. And like, yeah, it's cool. But hype moments in Aura cannot make a story good. Ask Gege Akatami. Even if you believe this theory, it would not make for a good story. At all! And if you're gonna rebut any of this by saying, if you're trashing on this theory, what's your suggestion then? It's Death Knight. Literally, it's just Death Knight. Chris has a vested interest in knowing their missing childhood friend, and they found out she's both alive and planning something big. This is where most Night theories go to die. Chris and Carol are required to have motive. Des was close to the mayor as her daughter and the police as a family friend of the Dreamers. Carol has reason to help her because she's her missing daughter. It would have weight for the Fun Gang and Noelle to discover that the one perpetrating everything was the missing sister of Noelle. And where the hell else would she be? Where? Now, I have tried my best to into this theory, but I kind of like it. Sort of. I think it's heading in the right direction in some form. The conclusion is just not remotely good. Not to mention that making Deltarune a time loop story would genuinely be the worst payoff to a decade-long build-up of all time. And I refuse to believe that Toby Fox could fumble a story like Tatsuki Fujimoto. But I hope something in this video might sense you, because it's absolutely organized like a train wreck. And probably sucks. I tried to make my full complete thoughts on the theory, but odds are I forgot like 1 or 2 things. Please leave anything you think I missed in the comment section. Also, J.R. Vanity, if you do watch this, I'm really sorry. I think your theory is cool. Don't get me wrong, I think it's really cool. I just think it kind of sucks. I think I sound like an asshole here. I'm gonna stop. Also, I'm so sorry if this sounds rushed, and like I'm recording all this audio in 10 minutes because I am. I kind of have to rush this because I don't have a lot of time to record these videos, so sorry. But thank you for watching if you got to this point. That's all for now, bye.